We are live from the IACP conference in Savannah, Georgia. Got Mr. Michael Shikashio here, just got off the stage. I'm glad we got you here. You were mobbed by people, no surprise, taking pictures on the stage. That was an amazing talk, and before we get into it, I just want to say we appreciate you being here, and I like talking to you. I mean, you came on Dog Pro, we had a great conversation, and one of my favorite things is you're able to talk without being confrontational. We're able to have a good, easy conversation. You've got a calming presence, which I appreciate, and loved hearing you speak today, so thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Can you just give people just a high-level overview? Don't give them too much detail because they didn't take the time to show up, so they don't deserve everything, but give them a little. What did you talk about today?
It was all about dog aggression in the home, so dogs fighting over things, resources, people, whatever. That was the whole focus of it, and how to resolve it.
So you said a couple things that I loved. One was comparing the country's divorce rate to the dog aggression rate, and maybe it's not always going to work. Can you give us just a little bit on that?
Yeah, it's, the statistics are around 50 to 60% in dogs that are fighting with each other, and there's a bite history, if it actually resolving when the dogs can continue living with each other. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables, what the people do with the dogs, the age of the dog, size of the dogs. There's a lot of things that factor into that, but yeah, it's just like the divorce rate. And it kind of tells you, you go to other countries where there's not that high of a divorce rate. You've got to wonder what's happening in this country with the environment and the culture, because in a lot of other countries, you also don't see that high of a number of intra-household dog aggression cases.
That's interesting.
Food for thought.
Yeah, we're not going to solve that one today, but that sure is interesting, that tie-in. And I will say, I'm glad we didn't have a fight between you, Ivan, and Jay, because that would be a Royal Rumble. I mean, you would have a huge crowd if that happened, but I'm not sure that's the look we're going for.
I would not mess with Jay Jack, just to put that on the table. Maybe I'd arm wrestle Ivan, though.
Right. It takes one look at Jay to be like, this is not the guy I want to mess with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun. We've got a huge crowd of questions. I don't know how many we'll have time to take.
Yeah, let's jump right in.
You want to start? Great question. So what was just asked was, how do you handle water as a resource? It's much easier to limit food than it is to limit water. So if you have two new dogs, you're worried they're going to fight over the water. How the heck do you handle that? Because you need to give them access to water.
Yeah, and you're talking inside the home as well, or outside? Outside, okay. They can be taught just like the basics of stationing. So I talked about that during the talk, is just teaching the dogs what to do when there's that resource. So obviously 2 water balls would be ideal, and making sure the dogs learn, okay, the water ball's coming out, what do you want to do? What do you have to do to get this? One goes here on one side, one goes here on the other, or you can even get creative and use the balls as the stations. Be like, okay, I'm going to set this one down here, this one down here. They're empty right now. Now you guys are stationed. Now I'm going to fill yours, and I'm going to fill yours. Keep the same order of events. That way it becomes predictable. And then the dogs are like, oh, I get it. If I want water, I go here, and you go there. You can use different balls to make it really obvious. So, yeah. I had dogs that fought over toilet bowls once. It's the scarcity of water, so don't restrict water. That's a bad idea. Yeah.
I like that you're teaching 2 things with one, right? Instead of finding the water and the station, water at the station.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to do one more? Matt, or you had a question? Great question. So the question there was toys. If you have 2 dogs that are fighting over a toy, you obviously want to get to the point sometime where they're able to be either unrestricted access or at least not watching really closely with the leash on. How do you get to that point where you can start to trust them with those toys?
Yeah, not all dogs are going to be able to eventually share toys together. You have to consider just how valuable those toys are. It's kind of like a raw marrow bone, where if we try to expect them to just share a marrow bone, probably not going to work in a lot of cases. So the same thing can happen with toys, where if it's super valuable, you might just say, okay, let's manage this, and we can give the dogs each of their own toys. I do like to give, in those cases, dogs toys of their own. So they're like, this is your toy basket, this is yours. Learn how to take them out of those, take them and go to your beds or whatever. So it's the same concept. It's creating predictability and routine when there's a resource around, so that way the dogs know what to do. So determining the value of the toy is the most important aspect first, to see is the dog really disinterested. Now, one other quick thing, novelty, new toys can significantly increase the value. Just like a new marrow bone full of the marrow still is much more valuable when it first comes out. So be careful with toys, because a new squeaky toy right from the bag is super high value for many dogs. So you might be more careful in those situations, manage it more to begin with, and then you can gauge the dog's interest. So, so multiple toys, dogs having their own toys, and management is usually what I go with. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So this is actually with my personal dog specifically. So I've got him a lot of the way through it. Like I've done a lot of the counter conditioning. He's doing a lot better. His main problem actually comes during that play, that moment of arousal. Even lower levels, his play will turn sour really fast. I'm not quite sure where to go from where I'm at in terms of like what my next step is on like, do I still continue to manage the arousal for now and just work in that space? I've just been doing that for a while and don't know how to get to that next part of like you can play in a way that makes you feel safe. He's a half cattle dog, if that helps.
Yeah, it does.
I knew that.
Yeah.
So first off, saw you in the race last night. Great job. Looked like you guys were having a lot of fun and working as a team. That was great. So the question, just for everyone listening, was a dog that over arousal during play. He's half cattle dog, so none of us are surprised by some of that stuff. How do you get to the point where they quit getting so aroused and you can allow them to truly play and enjoy their time with another dog?
Yeah, well, thank you for your question, and I'm sure it is difficult when you have a dog that it's hard to predict when things are going to spill over. You see the arousal spike, and you're probably like, is something going to happen here? So I like to give, well, first is finding the appropriate play mate or style that matches. So cattle dogs are going to have a different play style than, so like a boxer or a Doberman that are up in your face and top. And then you get
It's a golden retriever.
housemate's a golden retriever. Okay, so yeah, slightly different play styles there. And so number one is good play style match for that. So you get that could depend on what it looks like. I would need to see what it looks like when he plays, but then teaching lots of frequent breaks in it. So keep that arousal level low. When you start to see it go up, just recalling out of there. Be like, okay, let's take a break, and then you can go back in. And if play is reinforcing, then that is technically, you're saying, okay, when you get hot, we're going to have to give you a break. So try to modulate that arousal on your own if you can, but what's going to happen is that the dogs learn that, okay, the play's going to stop if I get too hot or too, like whatever. You can do it with like dogs doing bully behaviors or other rude behaviors to other dogs. And then doing separate exercises, working on arousal in general, because you can introduce those cues. So, we all have it as trainers. We have our tug, we have our fetch, whatever. Get the dog riled up, but then can you quickly shut it off? Are you able to, on cue, be like, I'm hyped and ready to go, or super high arousal, but am I able to modulate that myself? But you can help the dog because we start to cue that. Like, enough, or just like Jay Jack talked about yesterday, there's cues for saying, okay, bring it down a notch. You get to go back, but I need you to be here, not here. So it's a lot of observation, finding the right matches, but having versatile cues that are really strong that you can use during plays.
And we've got the master of that right there off stage,
Yeah.
Ivan. I think no one's better than having a dog that is at 100 and going down to a 10 right away. He's great at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think we'll do any more questions here. Otherwise, you're going to be here until dinner time. We need to get you out of here sometime. So, Mike, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, as
Appreciate you.
always. You are awesome. Great speaker. We love having you here. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.